Well, I tell you, looking back on the We Believe season has been one of the only positives in this whole situation where people have been hanging out at home. And you can't talk about We Believe unless you talk to the captain. Stack Jack is nice enough to take the time. And Stephen, first of all, how are you doing? Where are you? How are you dealing with everything in the way of our sports world?
Good to hear from you. Good to see you, Fitz. I'm doing good, man. Family's good. You know, everybody quarantined has shut a lot of stuff down, but we've been blessed to be able to continue our show with me and Matt, All the Smoke from Home. And all my kids have been homeschooling. So long as my kids are safe, you know, and doing well, I'm fine. As a whole, things will get back to normal, hopefully.
Well, let's start with that a little bit. You're like a media star. You and Matt Barnes both. Like, what was the background on that? And that's like two of my favorite people talking about the NBA. That's something you can't miss.
Yeah, you know, me and Matt were both doing a lot of sports shows, Fox and ESPN. And, you know, me and Matt, BD, Al, Monte, we've never lost touch since we played there. So we're like real brothers. So me and Matt was hanging out, and we just came up with an idea talking about a show, us doing our own show. And he had some connections with Ellen that created Red Table Talk. Shout out to Ellen. And she had some relationship. We pitched the show to her. She fell in love with it, and here we are now. I think we're 28 episodes in.
So tell me, how different is it for a guy who always answered questions to be asking questions a guy? That's a little flip of the roles there.
Yeah, it is. But I think me enjoying to talk to people and learn about people and learn about people's journeys, you know, with going through my own, it makes it easy for me. I've always respected everybody. From you to Rachel Nichols, whoever I spoke with, I've always shown everybody the same respect that I wanted. So now, being on the other side, I get that same respect as I've always approached it that way. So it feels good to have conversations with people. It feels good to be on this side, and it feels good to have my own platform to give other guys opportunity to speak on things that we speak on when we were playing.
You talk about your journey. I mean, if they were going to make a movie about an NBA guy from international basketball to the CBA, to winning a championship with San Antonio, you know, the whole incident, Pacers, Pistons, and everything. I mean, Jack, nobody has had the journey that you have had. And I got to think that with this time where people are reflecting and spending some time, you probably sit back and think about different memories. Tell me about a championship, and then we'll get into We Believe. But, like, is winning the title like the ultimate validation for a player?
I think so. I mean, me personally, it was for me because I came into the game wanting to be the best. You know, I'm a winner. You know, I won in high school, a championship in high school. I won a championship overseas. I wanted to continue that once I got to the NBA. And I was always taught to be a winner. And winning the championship lets me know that I fulfilled my job and my duty while I was in the NBA those 14 years. I wasn't just in the NBA as a body or getting a check. You know, I was on great teams, and I was on a team that was able to be the best in 2003. And that's saying a lot about the game if you really care about the game. You for that.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, one of the best compliments, and I bring it up when I talk to people about you, Tim Duncan doesn't talk a lot, okay? I've been around him with the Spurs and Olympic teams and stuff. He didn't talk a lot. When he says Steven Jackson is the ultimate teammate, like, that is as high a compliment. And then we talked to Jay Rich the other day. He said Steven Jackson would do anything for any of his teammates. Where does that loyalty, that fierceness come? Because Donnie Walsh also said, you know, the situation with you losing your brother, you've always had people's back because that influenced your life so much.
Yeah, that growing up in Port Arthur, Texas, you know, you had to have that kind of tight-knit relationship with your friends because you couldn't trust everybody. And, you know, the people I were around, I was just taught to grow up that way. But when my brother passed, I wasn't far from it. I probably was like 10 minutes from where he was killed at. And not being able to get there, you know, that still haunts me to this day, not being able to help him. So I look at teams like during the course of the season, I'm with these guys more than I'm with my own family. So these guys are my real brothers. And if I look at it today, a lot of these guys, Ron Artest, Al, BD, all these guys are my real friends to this day, like guys who I really rely on, who I really can depend on. So I didn't mind being that way. You know, I knew these guys really cared the same way about me. And me just being the first guy to be a protector, that's I don't know where that come from. That's you know, I when I say I love my brothers and I really care about them, I think my emotions and I put that into action sometimes. But all those experiences were learning experiences for me. And if I'm with you, Fitz. You know that.
Well, I think the thing about We Believe is that, I put the context. It was the one playoff season within 18 years for the Warriors. They had missed 12 years, We Believe, and then missed it 5 years after. So there was such a thirst for making the playoffs. But take me back to the trade. We know from the Warriors side, from different guys, we talked to Mully about it, who engineered the trade. Tell me about your side where you get the phone call and you're coming with Al and Josh Powell and Jasikevicius and all these bodies are changing. What was the first reaction for you coming to the Warriors?
Well, I knew I was getting traded. I had been in my second incident in Indiana, and I knew I was getting traded eventually. I had no idea I was going to when they said Golden State. I didn't know. I've never been to Oakland. You know what I mean? Like lived there. I didn't know anything about the team, so I was excited because I knew about Baron Davis. That was my brother. Rico Hines was my brother. I had already knew these two guys, so I was excited about getting a chance to play with BD because I've been knowing BD since high school. But I had no idea it was going to end the way it ended, Fitz. I had no idea we was going to gel like that. I had no idea Don Nelson was going to end up being my favorite coach, the only coach to make me a captain, the only coach to believe in me like he did. And I had no idea that we'll make the run we made in the playoffs. But one thing I did know going there was me and Al had something to prove. We had been through a lot. I had been through a lot as well. And Al had just came back to Indiana. So he was really upset about being thrown in that trade. He had just bought him a house in Indiana, a lot of that. So we felt like it was a no-brainer. We had to make this work, and we was going to give our all. And we had a whole bunch of guys just like us on that team, and it just gelled and worked.
So, the team after the trade is kind of floating along here. And then, Barron was hurt, and then you were hurt. Jay Rich had missed games and stuff. But then the Detroit game, everybody's back. Dak is back, Barron is back, Jay Rich is back, and you beat a really good Pistons team in Detroit. Did you have an idea like, we could be on to something here? We're finally healthy. Monte talked about looking at the standings on that flight home. We're like, okay, do something crazy, and you guys did, going 16-5. What was that mindset from that Detroit win and that it's healthy and finally together and still plenty of time to make a run to finish the year?
But Fitz, you was around, so you felt it. After that Detroit game, it's funny you asked that question because me and Jay Rich talked about it before. After that Detroit game, the whole locker room felt like, wait a minute, is this how we can be? Is this the team that we can be? Okay, hold on, y'all. Let's really think like we ain't just going. I missed the first 7 games from suspension.
Right.
So when we won that game, everybody was like, hold up, we really have something here. And we just turned it up a notch. I didn't go as far as Monte did with look at the standings, but after that game, we all felt real confident that we could make the playoffs. We didn't actually see it was happening, but we was confident enough to finish the season on a good note. And it just
well, you finished 16-5, and in those 2 16 wins were 2 wins over Dallas. There was one in March, there was one in April. Now, the one in April, they sat all their starters, and I think that will come back to haunt them. But you were the key player because nobody guarded Nowitzki like you. Now, was that your normal phenomenal defense, which was a calling card of your career, or was it Nelly also knowing everything about Dirk and stuff that bothered him? Give me the inside story on how you guarded the MVP of the league and did so well in that matchup.
I take pride in defense. I was one of those guys. I call myself one of the original two-way players. You know what I mean? I've always played defense and took pride in it, but I can't take credit for that. I got to give it to Don Nelson and Larry Riley for the preparation. They knew everything about Dirk. They gave us all the tools about him. One thing I had over him that I did need to be taught was I was already physical. I wasn't scared of anything, so I knew I had that over Dirk. But knowing what he liked to do, knowing his moves, knowing he liked to go left, from Don Nelson coaching him all those years, I was on his moves before he even made them. And I got to give all the credit to the coaching staff, to Don Nelson and Larry Riley. They had me super. Now that's why I was able to beat them.
So before we break down that Dallas series, I remember distinctly the win over Portland, the last day of the regular season.
I got kicked out.
Into the playoffs. I mean, that locker room. Now, you were in a Spurs championship locker room, but the Warriors making the playoffs after 12 years and the way people celebrated in that that Portland. What was that like for you in terms of, man, this happened. We're going to the postseason now.
If you remember, Fitz, I drove baseline and got tripped by Brandon Roy, and they called the travel. And I got kicked out the game. And I remember Nelly coming to me. Nobody don't remember this. I remember Matt's walking me up, then Nelly coming to me like, Jack, I don't care if you get kicked out. I'm cool with that. But don't get suspended. We're going to make the playoffs. This is what he's telling me as he's walking me out court. So if you look at me, I look at the scoreboard. As he said, I look at the scoreboard, and it clicked to me. And I just walk off. But we did celebrate in the locker room, like we had won the championship. Like I say, the championship was cool. I had some great veterans on that team. But what we did in Golden State was bigger than the championship to me because I did with guys who I really cared about. Some guys I knew that was really my brothers to this day. And we talk about it so much. But that locker room was like a championship locker room.
So take me now to game one. Nelly said if we can get him to play small, we'll win game one. We'll win this series in 6 games. Like, he laid it all out. And I was thinking either he had too much Johnny Walker or he really knew what he was talking about. One or the other. Take me through game one when you're realizing you're in Dallas. They won 67 games. They're the 1 seed. Your Warriors are the 8 seed. But the Warriors are the hot team, and the matchups were so key. Was it confidence right from the beginning, or was it like, hey, we're rolling, no one's going to stop us?
Well, we had confidence. We had confidence. Our confidence was real high. I don't think anybody on our team was unconfident. We knew we could beat these guys. We was prepared. Everybody was ready to go. But none of that mattered. Whatever they practiced, whatever their game plan was, it didn't matter. Whatever our game plan was, it didn't matter. Baron Davis won game one. Baron Davis was the best player in the building. I don't care what we did or what they did. It did not matter. Whatever Baron was on that day, no team, nobody in the world could stop him. And that's what happened game one in the nutshell.
Game two, at the very end, you get tossed, Matt Barnes gets tossed, and but you guys played so well against Dallas. It was like, whoa, maybe a couple weird whistles here. But coming back to Oracle for game 3, Jack, the pregame was as loud as game sound sometimes. I don't care where you were or what your basketball career has been for anybody. If you were at Oracle for game 3, the Warriors' first home playoff game, I don't think that's a game anybody ever forgets.
I think we were so confident coming in game 3 because what Nelly said after game 2. He came in the locker room. They was like, they wasn't letting us win 2 games here. It was clear. We all felt that way. They did not want us to go 0-2 against Dallas and win the first 2 games here. They did not want that. So with our coach feeling like that, we got on the plane. We shook it off. We was ready to go. And when I first walked out to warm up and I saw all that yellow, I was like, wow. It was Ray. I winning the championship, that wasn't even close to how loud it was in Oracle. And if you didn't feed off the energy from the crowd in the building, you didn't belong in the NBA, and you definitely didn't belong in the playoffs.
Well, game 3, Dallas had no shot. Warriors rolled them. Game 4, to me, with these rewatch, that's the best game. It's 103-99. Matt Barnes hits a key 3. Your defense on Dirk was so critical. And also, too, you, Baron, Jay Rich, everybody's playing 40-plus minutes. You were never tired. Was it just the adrenaline, the competitiveness, the pride? How did you play at that high level? And take me through that game 4 a little bit, because to me, that's like an all-time classic game. Great Dallas team, but a Warrior team that just wouldn't be denied.
Yeah, we kept fighting, man. Like, we were confident because we was up in the series, and I think in game 4 we wasn't tired because the motivation to win for Coach Nelson was everything. We knew how important this series was to him. You know what I mean? Of course, we wanted to win for our fans because that's the main reason why we play in our organization. But it was something about Nelly. He looked different at the beginning of that series than preparing for it. He was different. He was a different person coming into that series. And I think all our motivation was to win for him. And that's why our level was so high. But then again, we was playing for each other. You could see it. We was playing for each other. We was on the same page. Even though they were the best team in the league at the time, they didn't have any team chemistry. Our team chemistry was way above theirs, and you could see it on our play. And we were just on the same page. And where we were at that time, I think if we wouldn't have celebrated so much after that series, we probably would have been Utah. But we celebrated, and we wanted to win that game, and that was our championship because we wanted to do it.
Well, I'll tell you, out of all the great games you've had in your career, game 6, 33 points, 7 threes in a playoff game. I mean, Jack, to me, I would have that on a loop in your house forever. I mean, that was the very best of Captain Jack right there. That game's got to give you some smiles every once in a while.
You know, I feel like that in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, when I hit those 3 threes, those 2 games are the best games of my career. One, I remember, there's a lot of reasons I remember that night. Not only did I have a great game, but I remember BD coming to me before the game and telling me, Jack, I ain't got it. I ain't got it, Jack. My legs, my knees, my back, I just ain't got it. And when he told me that, he told me that twice the whole season. And I didn't expect to hear that, you know, in Game 6. You know what I'm saying? But that's the second time he had told me. And I'm like, cool, you know, I'll do what I got to do. I'm not in my mind. I wouldn't even lie to you, Fitz, to say I knew I was going to go out there and hit all those threes. I had no clue, but I was locked in to play well. Then I played well, and I remember after the game, you know, we celebrated, but I remember 2 days later, I'm watching the game and I'm seeing the TV feed, and they're interviewing BD, and they're talking about the game after the game on the court, and she asked him something about my play, and BD said, this is probably the best compliment I've ever got from a brother and also a basketball player in my life. She asked him about my basketball play, and BD was like, see, I'm getting kind of emotional saying it. BD said, a lot of people say a lot of stuff about Steven Jackson, but they never admit he's a great basketball player. That meant the world to me. They talked about everything. The beginning of that year, remember I got there, I got suspended. I went through a lot for previous 2 years in Golden State, so I was trying to get that off of me. And that moment, I felt like everything had completely lifted off my shoulders.
The different, roles on that team. Monte said he was the little brother. You were the brother. Jay Rich says Barron was the mayor of the team. Yeah. Jason said he was the voice of reason. I mean, where were you the ultimate big brother? Was that kind of your role? You made chemistry. Matt Barnes fit in so perfectly. Al, I mean, it really was one of my favorite teams because of the characters and the way you guys fit together like a puzzle so perfectly. But what was, looking back, kind of your role on that team, you think? If you were trying to tell someone who'd never seen it, where did Steven Jackson fit in on that team? I
was definitely the big brother, and I was definitely the protector of everybody. I was the protector. I didn't mind putting myself in harm's way. Monte. I was super protective over Monte. Super. He did everything we did with the tattoos and everything. Everything he learned from us. When we got there, he didn't have one tattoo. When we left, he had more tattoos than us. So I was really protective over Monte. But I was like the big brother security. You were right. BD was the mayor. Al was the businessman. Jay Rich was the voice of reason. Monte was just a little brother that was trying to take all he can from everybody. Matt was the pretty boy. Matt was the Hollywood guy. You know what I'm saying? The Hollywood tough guy. So we had a lot of different personalities, but it all meshed together to one family. But I didn't mind being the big brother and the protector.
We get to the Utah series. Give them credit. Hey, they won it in 5 games. The games are competitive, but they were deeper. But I'm getting everyone's opinion. Where was Steven Jackson on the Barron dunk over Karolinko? And take me through your point of view, because we've had some cool ones where different guys were at different spots on the court or have different memories of it. Give me the Barron dunk over Karolinko Steven Jackson version.
Well, I remember being somewhere about to go, and actually I was crashing the board or something, and when he went up to dunk, I was kind of in awe because that was the last thing I respected from BD. He wasn't feeling that good all season to be doing something like that. So I know it was adrenaline. But when he did it, I was in shock, and I went to him because I remember him hitting back the goalpost and raising his shirt up. Right. And I walked up to him, and I was so shocked, and I think he was still kind of shocked. We really didn't know how to celebrate. You know what I mean? And so it was hard. It was kind of odd. So I remember doing something and just following him, letting him tuck his jersey, and I just started wiping him off. I started dusting him off. It's all saying dust the dirt off your shoulders. So I started wiping him off. You know what I mean? And that was a crazy moment, man. That's what I remember, following him around, letting him get his little shine and brushing his shoulders off afterwards.
Now, what was to me, the noise in that series that season had kind of a physical quality. Like you could feel noise in addition to hearing it. But when he spiked that on Karolinko,
he was threatening.
I thought the building went sideways or something. Like there was a jolt of noise that I don't think I'll ever forget.
That noise, I have to say, that noise is definitely threatening. You pull up to the arena and hear that noise. you gonna wake up or you gonna fold, one or the other. There's no other arena that ever got that loud in my NBA career. That's why not only I appreciate the way the organization still brings us back and still makes us feel a part of the organization for the work we did there. We definitely humble about that. But to win against the best seed and win and get back in the playoffs and win that first round, I think I hold that closer than anything I've done in my NBA career.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I always think of you, Jack, where there's the warrior side of you, the ultimate warrior, and then there's the gentleman in you. You know, I've seen you at Christmas parties talking to people's wives and stuff like that. There's the Southern gentleman and the ferocious warrior, and they reside in the same Captain Jack body. And I think that's one of the coolest things about your personality, and it's something I've always appreciated. That's why you and Matt doing interviews and talking to guys on things that nobody else will bring up in the regular media, that people relate to you, people like you, and you're able to draw things out of them. I think that's a rare quality for guys, particularly former athletes that are starting to do this stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Fitz. That means a lot coming from you. I think with me and Matt, we don't mind putting ourselves in their shoes. Like, we speak from my experiences. I don't think it's a mistake I haven't made. So I can conversate with anybody about their shortcomings or something they're going through because I've been there. So we know how to have conversation and bring people on our shows, Fitz, and disagree, but the respect remains the same. You know, we're not bringing people on our show to get clicks. We're not bringing people on our show to belittle them. You know, we're trying to learn. We're trying to give people outlets. You know, DeMarcus Russell, J.R. Smith. We're giving them outlets to say things that they don't get the opportunity to speak on. And I think it's beneficial for us, but it's also beneficial for them as well.
Well, Jack, we appreciate the time, but finish off with maybe kind of your thoughts to donation, to the Warrior employees, to the arena employees, and just how we're all trying to get through this together.
Shout out to the Warriors, the whole staff organization. One thing I do know is that I got a chance to play for the best organization in the world. So I do know everybody's on top of everything. I do know everybody's doing their best to keep everybody safe, keep everybody prepared, and keep everybody uplifted in this time. So if anything I do know, I know this organization is on top of everything, and I'm just happy to be involved with it, and I'm sending love and prayers to everyone.